we're back 20 feet away from the Forge Lounge to introduce one of the OG members of Forge, Mr. Jeff Vollmer, the master behind Peak Pest Solutions, pest control wizard, and now a strength training wizard.
Ooh. Working on it.
Apprentice.
Wizard, not yet.
But now the wizard must niff.
Oh, yeah. So it's not like this is Jeff's first time.
No,
let's be honest.
No, I've done it a few times before.
He's well acquainted.
So before we get started, let's do it.
I
don't think you can
use
use
want
the
to try
headshot.
not
That's
headshot?
not
Is that
shake, shake, pang, pang.
Yeah, it's kind of defeats the
twist
theme.
Squeeze, man.
Yeah.
Why do we get it out?
I don't know.
I didn't think about it.
Okay, I get this.
Free advertisement.
Ready?
All right.
Ready?
Shake,
Shake,
shake, pang, pang.
Ooh, yummy. And we're live.
Yes, sir. That'll wake
We're
you
live.
up. Good.
Wow.
That one hit hard this morning, boys.
Yeah, it did.
But I thought it would be cool to kind of, just dive into Jeff's background real quick, because he does own the Peak Pest Solutions, and if it wasn't for that business, I don't think that Jeff and I would have ever met. So how we met was, I think I'd mentioned before in a previous podcast, is when I moved into this new place, it was like Spider Haven, right? And I had a 5 a.m. client that's been with me since the garage, and she was just deathly afraid of spiders. Like, she just spotted them across the gym and was petrified. So I would show up here early. I'd get here like at 4:30 in the morning just to go spider hunting, so that she wasn't like, she wasn't freaking out. I'm serious, man. Like, I would check every room, and I would step on like 6 or 7 spiders. And I think when I was in the garage, I saw that Peak Pest Solutions had liked one of my videos.
Right.
And I was like, Peak Pest Solutions, and I pull up his page, and there's a bunch of like pretty entertaining videos of Jeff doing his thing on his, at work, like the very first video I ever saw of him, he's like dusting his shoulder off, as he's
Looking like a stud.
yeah, looking like a straight mafia lord, So that just kind of stuck in the back of my head. And then, that's the one thing I tell a lot of people is, like, you just don't know what like little things like a like on Instagram will do for your business. Right. So when I thought about hiring the pest control services, that was the first name. So I just pulled up his Instagram, clicked on the link, and gave him a call. And sure enough, like, I think it was the next day or even the same day, he swung by and he walks through the door, and, nice, slender, handsome, sharp-toothed, perfectly shaved Jeff walks in, and
Little did I know what I walked into.
I was actually lifting myself with just in here by myself. And he's like, is this a gym? I'm like, yeah, man, it's a gym. And he's like, you guys do training?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And he gave me the classic Jeff, like, kind of nod and look off, like, walking around doing his thing, and he gets done. And, he comes back to me and was just like, so if I wanted to start training, how would I go about doing this? And I was like, well, show up on Monday. I think it was a Friday that he came in. Or it might have been a weekend. I think you might have been working on the weekend, because I was training, so it must have been the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was like, show up on Monday, 7 a.m., let's get it started. And I didn't think he was going to show back up, because it was pretty brief. So here I am at 7 a.m., waiting, and he's like 15 minutes early, and he walks back in the door, and I think I told him that day, I was like, I didn't think you were going to show back up, man. But so yeah, that's how we met, was just, a like off Instagram. His name, Peak Pest Solutions, kind of stuck in my mind, and then just his content there. It was just like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. I kind of liked it. You kind of get a sense of Jeff's character off of his page, which I really liked. Like, there's a lot of patriotism there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, funny videos, and then also super professional, right? Like, information about, like, pests, rodents. You guys do rodents too, right, Jeff? So that's how we met, right? So background on Jeff is, Jeff, how long have you been in Sheridan?
I've been in Sheridan for actually about 7 years now. Been in the pest control business for about 11. And I've owned my own pest control business, Peak Pest Solutions, for my 2-year anniversary was yesterday, actually, April 1st.
Nice.
So I've been in Sheridan for 7 years. Yeah.
Good. And pest control, your Peak Pest Solutions, it's been around for
2 years.
2 years.
2 years. Yep. I
Nice.
worked for a pest control company for 9 years and then bought my own 2 years ago. So 11 years. Yes, sir.
Out of 2 years, man, you made quite a dent because I see a lot of people posting about the services they receive from Peak Pest Solutions. Like you guys always have like good referrals, and so that's pretty cool.
And your wife and your son work with you as well, or?
Yeah, my wife does most of the office work, and my son Cooper runs another truck for us. We have 2 trucks out and about. We're down in Buffalo, Sheridan, of course, Tongue River Valley, Ranchester, Dayton. We go all the way up into Montana, so we got a pretty wide range that we cover, and we handle pretty much all things pest control. We're really the local choice. I like to say we're the local choice.
I would agree with that.
We are
Yeah.
not only operated, but we're also owned locally here in Sheridan. I think that's important to the Sheridan people.
Huge, right?
Yeah, so Sheridan's always supported local, I think, and it's pretty important to them. So we pride ourselves on that, and just that we've been in business for 11 years. I've got a lot of experience behind us, and we just try to be friendly. You know, I think a lot of people miss that nowadays. A lot of business owners, service providers, they're just not friendly. They think about themselves and getting that dollar, you know, but
Customer service goes a long ways, right?
Correct. And on my website, I've got a quote on my website that I said a couple years ago when I started my own business. I said, as soon as Peak Pest Solutions starts treating the customer like another number, we've seriously missed the mark.
That's
instead
awesome,
of
man.
a neighbor and a friend, you know. So I've been around for a little while, and I think it's funny. Chancellor, he did call me about. I think it was spiders and millipedes. Actually, is what he had.
Yeah, it was.
And it was kind of timely because at that my background is with running. I've been quite a runner over the last several years, doing ultra distances and like 50-mile run. I did the 50-mile Bighorn Trail run a couple years ago.
That's a brutal run, man. I did EMT volunteer work there 1 year.
Yeah.
It's a brutal run.
So that's what I was doing. I was really kind of into the thick of running last August when I walked in here to take care of Chancellor Mike's spiders and millipedes. And I was always kind of thinking of how I could improve my running through strength training. One of the biggest things was injuries. I was pretty injury prone, knees and hips, and it was always something was hurting me, it seemed like, from my running. And people have always told me over the years, well, maybe you should do some kind of strength training. And I've tried that. You know, I'd do it for about a month. It didn't seem to work, so I'd quit. So when I left here, I'm like, hey, do you guys do like training? Like personal training? And Chancellor's like, yeah. So he already said, you know, I asked him how one would get into that.
Yep.
And walked in here that Monday, and I've been here for about 7 months now.
Yeah. It's going on 7 months.
Yes, sir.
So the cool thing is just kind of watching how he's progressed, you know. I think the biggest thing that Jeff had to work on was just these repetitive injuries from like running and stuff, which is totally is Michael's realm. And correct me if I'm wrong, like running, especially like the long distance and like up and down hills, is really hard on our knees, our hips, all these joints that we kind of depend on.
The overuse kind of injuries.
Yeah,
just
exactly,
repetitively using
right.
the same motions over and over and over. And I think we've talked about in previous podcasts, and then Jeff's probably seen the benefit of it when you supplement with something that's kind of outside the exact kind of training stimulus you're getting from running. So like lifting or stuff that we're doing in the gym, it actually kind of offsets some of that overuse injury, can kind of work on some weak points and then build up the tissues in a different way than just the way that running does. So now that his quads, hamstring, glutes, stability training, all that stuff we're doing
They're
in here,
kicking in.
they're kicking in. And I think Jeff had a post the other day talking about like kind of how you're moving better, and even like getting down into a squat feels less painful on your knees. Or
I posted a video on Instagram the other day. And it might seem like a simple thing to most people or a lot of people, but for me to squat down and check my traps for years, I could do it, but with lots of pain.
Right.
And now that I've been doing strength training, strengthening my quads and my glutes and my hamstrings, and it was amazing to me that I can actually squat down and check rodent traps. So it was such a big thing to me. I posted a video on Instagram because of it. And I can say that I've become a believer with the strength. That's a huge thing to me
He's
because
joined the dark
I've
side.
dealt with the dark side. I've dealt with pain from running for years, and it's because I was a weak human being. And
I wouldn't say like totally weak. I mean, he was still pretty stout when he came in. I mean, 40 pounds ago.
I always thought I was a stronger person. I always did. I knew I wasn't a power lifter strong, but I always thought that I was generally a strong person. But after I came in here and I realized that I was a weak person. And over the last few months, and it's a long road, it's not, and that was the big thing with me. I would join I've joined a couple gyms over the years, participate for a month or two, and nothing would happen, so I'd stop. But it was about 5 months, I really started noticing the difference with how I moved, my range of motion's better, there's less pain. It's been just literally life-changing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you have Jeff walking in, and then there's other members that maybe don't see him, like, because he's changed in hours throughout the day, and they're complimenting him on how he looks, right? He's like, Jeff, you're getting kind of big, man. It looks good. Like,
yeah.
His wife will pull me aside. She says she feels safer now.
Yeah, right.
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 She's not walking next to a pile of bones anymore. So
she has an alpha male in the house now. No, that's for sure. That I've gained like 25 pounds in the last 7 months. We'll talk about that.
Well, you were even able to drag your wife into here too, as well. She's been training with you for the last
Jenny.
4 months, I think, or so.
Yeah, she's a killer, man. Yeah. She's awesome. Like, just the most coachable student I have. Just literally wants to learn, ready to learn, just picks up things, really methodical in her approach to how she lifts. Like, you can just see that she's going through a checklist in her head every time she steps onto her barbell. And then Cooper. So Cooper came in too. So here's another thing about Peak Pest Solutions. If you got any small spaces that you need these guys to get into, 6-7 months ago, they might have been able to do it. But now, it's going to be a little bit tighter squeeze for them.
Those crawl spaces are getting a little tighter.
I think Cooper had to go up like a pant size, right? He was like, his quads got so big from lifting, he
wears a lot of shirtless tees in here now, just showing off the guns.
He had to roll up the sleeves, show off the pythons.
That's funny because I was coming for a few months, I think 3 months or so, consistently, and I started noticing a few differences and changes, and I told my wife, just kind of jokingly, I guess, you ought to probably start coming in and doing it as well. We like to snowmobile, and snowmobile takes some strength, and I know that it would help her up there on the mountain with the snowmobile. She was a little bit stronger. And she was completely against coming in here and doing this. But I don't know if I had to talk her into it or if she just decided that it might. I think it was the snowmobile thing came up. You'd be a stronger snowmobile rider. So she started coming, and one of her big things, and she'll tell you now, one of her big things about her hesitations was she was a little intimidated with the gym, and she didn't know the movements or the lifts or anything like that, so she didn't know really what to expect. But
and she got a couple big meatheads,
teaching
her, right?
But I tell you, it's a good testimony for this gym and Mike and Chancellor and now Trey that they made her so comfortable, which is a really good thing. And all of her hesitations were proven wrong when she came in.
Yeah, she looks forward to coming in now, right?
Loves it.
Yeah. All these benefits are pretty much unbeknownst to me, because Jeff, he'll never tell me if we're getting somewhere. But I just have to. I have the mental discipline that I know that's we really trust the process.
We've kind of forced him to come on the podcast so he could finally admit.
This is like amnesty hour, right?
We want it recorded so everybody knows.
Right. It actually works, man.
So one of the biggest things that I've learned coming here so far is that a true strength training gym like Forge, it'll make a humble man out of a proud man. It really will.
Yeah.
Because when I walked in here, I certainly have a type A personality, and I kind of had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder when I walked here. Like I said before, I always thought that I was a strong person, but it'll make you humble because the iron doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And So you'll have to learn to like humble pie, because you'll eat many, many pieces of humble pie.
Yeah.
If you're really serious about getting strong, But
Well, and we try to do that with people, and it's not like in a malicious way, but we want to find where your weak points are, where you're going to get the most bang for your buck.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's what it's
Everyone
all
needs to
about.
see like these compensations patterns that they've developed over the years, because everyone has them, right?
Yeah.
The posterior chain with Jeff and both Coop, even being runners, it was weak, weak, right? So trying to develop a program that's going to bring these weaknesses up so that they start noticing these strengths outside of the gym. That was my whole goal, right? I just wanted Jeff to see, like, here's the benefit of building your back, man.
Yeah.
You've had some shoulder pain in the past, or here's the benefit of developing glutes and hamstrings. You see how they play a factor on your knees, right? Because your quads were strong. I mean, you ran up and down hills all day long.
Yeah.
But that was like the biggest challenge with those two, right? Was just kind of diving into their weakness. And like Mike says, that's kind of how we do things here. And it's like we are always looking for weakness. I think that more comes from the rehab background, right? Mike being a physical therapist, me working in a rehab facility for, 3-4 years. I kind of look at people as, what is the weakness that we need to bring up in order for this person to have a better quality of life, right? And that's kind of how I plan my attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. And I think Jeff's favorite flavor of humble pie is pull-ups to this day.
We're still trying to convince him how that helps his running. But he'll see.
Pull-ups are wicked. They're evil. I hate pull-ups.
Chancellor would just throw in pull-ups, not even like randomly. He'd just be like at the end, all right, 25 pull-ups. Why? We just worked out. I just did all these back
creepers. I've already done all this.
I did all these lat pull-downs, and then you're making me do pull-ups.
Well, I would not. You can ask Chandler. I wouldn't do a pull-up if there was a girl in the gym.
No.
I hated pull-ups.
I'd even hang a band like, Jeff, don't worry about it, man. We'll use the band. You get right up there. He's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not.
What was that you did with Jenny here? You're like, do you want to see your husband freak out?
Yeah. I looked at Jenny right in the windows of her soul, and I said, Jenny, do you want to see a grown man throw a temper tantrum? And she just smiled, and she's like, gave me like, oh yeah. I was like, hey, Jeff. He's like, what? Pull-ups. What? It's not even. We already did all this.
Yeah, I didn't like pull-ups. You brought up a point a little bit ago, which is interesting. I'm kind of realizing it now as we sit here. I came in here, when I first came in here, my strength training, I wanted to better myself as a runner through strength training, and it's certainly going to do that. But there was always part of me, a large part of me, I had the mindset I wanted to look stronger. I wanted to, be the buff guy and all that. But now since I've been coming, it's more now about quality of life.
Yeah,
I see how it is improving it's changing my life.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the range of motion I have when I'm snowmobiling or when I'm hunting. I was elk hunting this winter, and things are just my life is much better that I'm getting to be a stronger person. I'm a long ways from where I would like to be, but I'm certainly I've come a long ways in 6 months.
It's part of the process, man. It's like you're going to get to where you want to be. Yep. Just think about, he told me a story the other day. He was snowmobiling, and his snowmobile got stuck. And he was able to lift that thing up by himself before he'd have to, dig it
a couple people to come flip it over
or
and get it back on
do a lot
track.
of digging to get yourself out of there. Yeah, you just deadlifted it out right out of that. It's pretty sweet, man. Think about
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
But so
quality of life.
That's huge for us. That's kind of like, that's what our goal is. Like, we just want people to build a better quality of life with this foundation of strength, because that's one thing that Mike and we kind of take for granted sometimes, right? It's like we're always known as the guys that you call if you need to move a couch, or
we're doing after
need
this.
to move something. Exactly what we're doing after this.
Yep. Yeah.
But it does help, right? You're in less pain throughout the day. You can recover better. I mean,
right.
That goes a long way.
No, and I think, and there's also the psychological benefits too, just knowing that you're strong, knowing that your body's resilient, knowing that you're capable of more than you thought you were before, and just like how you've seen changes, right? Like, I think Jeff kind of realized he's kind of a bench bro. He's like actually got a dang good bench press, and it's like,
and much as I hate to admit it, he's kind of a sumo puller too. Like, and a darn good one.
Yeah.
He just clicked, now that he's developing some glutes and hamstring strength there.
Yeah.
He's powerful in that position. That sumo pull was just bread and butter for him.
So. And then you're having now too, like, where you're kind of like, you kind of get hooked on like getting PRs, and like now you have some goals for yourself, and it's just like another realm of your life where you get to push yourself, have goals that you strive for, work towards those goals. And I think that's just another thing that you do in your life that's very fulfilling. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the quality of life. I'm 50 years old now.
And just like stronger than you've been, right?
By far.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you get up to 45, 50 years old, you start to think about, you know, hey, I'm not too far away from 60 and then 70. And there's the quote, you know, weak things break.
Yeah.
And, you know, the older you get, bones are more, you know, susceptible to injury and things like that, and joints and the muscles around the joints, and if they're stronger, the better you're going to be, you know, as you get older. And I can certainly see that now.
Well, it'll be a world of difference, you know, that you've started now versus if you had tried to start later. And like, it's just like, you're going to have that benefit of that carry on from your 60s, 70s. And you'll see somebody that like Jeff that's been training, you know, for all these years when they're in their 60s and 70s versus someone that's hasn't. And it's just night and day difference between like how youthful and what they're capable of doing and what their body is like resilient to. I mean, that's 80% of what you see in hospitals is people just disuse, atrophy, weakness, like all the orthopedic issues are almost in some ways like preventable. Obviously there's traumatic accidents, but most of it's just like disuse or like weakness.
Underuse injuries.
That's the worst. That's like, I've worked in hospitals, like that's mostly what you
melting away
see.
like butter on a frying pan, dude. So I think one of the posts that Jeff's made that, you know, I really liked was he talked about one regret he had is that he didn't start this earlier. You know, although, you know, I think younger Jeff or older Jeff would tell younger Jeff, like, yeah, man, get into serious strength training. It doesn't matter though where you started, right?
Yeah.
Like he's still making great progress in 6-7 months. Right.
Oh yeah. And he's stronger than like, you know, 90% of the 20 and 30 year olds walking
Imagine
around,
Jeff
you know?
when he's 55, if he keeps strength training like this. He is going to feel better than he did when he was 30. Right. So
yeah, me and my wife have talked in the past now since we both doing the strength training. It's hard to believe that more people aren't doing this, and you know, everyone needs to do it. Strength training.
To a certain extent, it benefit really anybody. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be a powerlifting big three, but just the fact that you're loading your joints, doing some resistance training. The benefits are just like it's
unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's life to not.
I mean, it just literally is life changing.
And it's your life. And the strength training is totally individualized, right? What I run with Jenny
is different
way
than Jeff's
different
program,
Jeff, right? Because I wanted to push Jeff because Jeff is a lot like me, right?
Type A,
right? Like he wants to just work and go. So I threw him into conjugate method, right? Like kind of a higher elite powerlifting template, and he just thrives there because we get the volume work out of the way. He gets to push himself to almost failure twice a week, and like that was kind of his sweet spot. Whereas Jenny, it's just linear progression, you know, progressive overload, and she's making great progress that way, right? Not everybody that comes in here that needs to train strength is going to be training as a power lifter, right? Jenny's more of just the other realm. She just needs to be stronger, right? So we can do that the most basic way. And she's very committed and very methodical to her approach, and we can kind of just track progress that way. Where I think, you know, put Jeff under the same scope, he's going to get bored kind of quick. So that's why I decided to throw him into conjugate method, which is sweet because, you know, taking someone that doesn't have a lot, he's had prior strength training before, but not like a lot history of it, and throwing him into an elite program like that. Most people are kind of nervous, but the benefits that he's gotten out of that program, I mean, it works for just everybody, right? So you could be a beginner or advanced elite lifter like, you know, us, and we still get the same result. So that was always cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it is a long road. It's I brought that up earlier. I guess if you can, like I think I've been coming for 7 months now, and like I said earlier, that about after 5 months is when I really started noticing differences in less pain in my joints, and got stronger. And but consistency and patience is for sure.
Now,
it does come.
One thing that we had to kind of, Jeff and I fought about a lot was nutrition, and I think he's learned a little bit of that doing strength training, right?
I still struggle, but
I still struggle. What he struggles with is taking advice from, how did you phrase it, a dentist with bad teeth.
Hey,
Very, very.
Let me tell you how this story went. Okay, I was giving him advice on how to stay leaner because he was worried about, you know, getting big, getting thick. So I was telling him how you go about how you approach your nutrition, just giving him some general advice, because I'm not a nutritionist. I can't write him anything. But he looked at me and he just laughs, and I'm like, I'm serious. Like, just listen to this. And he's like, well, it's kind of like taking advice from a dentist with bad teeth. And for a second, it didn't click with me. You know, I was just like, yeah, that'd be, hey.
I wouldn't. Hey.
Yeah.
Michael's like face full of burrito in the corner.
Well, you know what's funny is in trail running, when you're doing long distances, you know, there's a term, and we had the same term in the military. There's a term called embracing the suck.
Oh yeah.
You know, when I did the 50-mile trail run a couple of years ago up in the Bighorns, the first 32 miles, I actually was making it through quite fine. But the last 18 miles or so really started to suck, and it was rough. But you really just have to embrace that suck, knowing it's going to suck, but embracing the suck to just have the fortitude to get through it. And powerlifting, if you want to get strong or increase your strength, you have to learn to embrace the thick.
Dude, I love that.
It's going to suck. It's going to suck getting thick, I think, you know, because I like to be a little bit more slender. But you just have to embrace it for a while, because, I mean, if you're going to get strong, you've got to eat.
You do.
Yeah,
that's true.
You got to eat calories. You got to put fuel in the machine.
You got to recover, right?
Yeah. So right now I'm kind of learning to embracing the thick a little bit.
Yeah.
And at some point when my thick gets to where I want it to get, then I'm going to try to lose the thick a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that was the hardest thing with Jeff. That's why we fought, you know, like scrape tooth and nail. Because
he wanted
to be the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
right?
so one of the best of both.
He wanted to gain strength while eating in a severe deficit, and you know, running and putting himself in these. He would run like 10 miles before coming in here.
I did. When I first started, I was running 8 to 10 miles,
and then coming in to lift.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
And I was always in like 1,000-calorie deficit before I came in to lift. That's real. That's where I was.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's how much I've learned over the 6 months that I've been here.
Well, testament to Jeff, he's put on, what, 30, 40 pounds?
25. Come on. Just
30,
25, not 30.
It looks like 30, 40, but not thick.
Steel.
Yes.
I mean, you got to learn to embrace the thick.
Yeah.
But to see results.
Right.
And
like he's saying, right, he's going to get to a point where he doesn't want to be that thick anymore, and we can cut back and change his course, right? It doesn't have to be this lifelong thickness that he has to live with forever.
Lean once.
Yeah. That's my story is YOLO, you're only lean once. But that's only true for me. So, that was huge. And then once he kind of complied with, you know, hey Jeff, eat a little bit more, you know, take a little bit, get in a surplus, because the way that you're training here, you need the calories to rebuild, repair, regrow. Once he started doing that, and you know, he wouldn't even tell me. Like, I'd check in with him. He's like, "How you eating?" He'd be like, "All right, yeah, pretty good." And you know, the old Jeff just nonchalant answers, you know, and.
Right.
Well, and I
I started noticing that he was eating more because he just started getting stronger.
And I think with proper nutrition, like Jeff, I'm sure you've seen, like you've added 25 pounds, but it's not like maybe how you think previously. If I put 25 pounds in my frame, I'm going to be a gross slob.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Jeff definitely has that muscle mass. His back is like a barnyard back. His arms have gotten bigger. They're hugging the sleeves a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's a right and wrong way to go about it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, I think a lot of people, they do come into the gym. Most people are like looking about fat loss and stuff, but it's like, you know, there is a time and a place to be in that surplus for the benefit of, we're talking about like strength training. And it doesn't have to be this disgusting mess that you turn into.
No, you don't have to be like a Michael and Chancellor. Like, this is just disgusting. But you have to also take into consideration how much weight he's put on and how long it took him to do it.
Yeah, it was 7 months.
6-7 months? What is that, like 24, 26 weeks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? He's putting on, and he's only gained like 25 pounds, a pound a week. That is more muscle mass than you realize.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? Because that's a slow progression. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like he put on 26 pounds in a month.
No,
or 25 pounds in a month. Right? That might be a lot of fat, you know? But the way that he went about it, and he was just slowly making this incline.
Slow, consistent, gradual.
It's more muscle mass than he likes to realize.
It is.
You know, so.
Yeah, before I started strength training, if I would have gained 25 pounds, it would have been a lot lot of flab, a lot of fat.
25
for
pounds
sure.
on a runner. Just I ran. It would have been all fat. Put on 25 pounds.
It was all fat.
That distribution would have been a little.
Yeah.
Well, the distribution, because of the way you're training, right, it goes a lot into recovering the muscles. So it's like you're putting on a lot of muscle.
Right. That's, now that I've done this for a while, and I guess I consider myself a believer in strength training, and I know Sheridan and in Tongue River Valley areas, it's quite a running community.
Yeah.
And if there's runners out there that are listening to this podcast or ever thought about using running to help, using strength training to help your running, man, I just can't recommend it enough now. I mean, it's really just.
You're actually the second client that's told me that. We have another one, Tyann. She does a lot of marathons too. Her last one, she will admit she didn't train cardio wise as well as she should have. She still completed the race, and she actually told me when she came back, said if it wasn't for how my joints and my muscles felt during that race, because she was just cardiovascularly fatigued the whole time, right? She didn't have the endurance, she wasn't training that endurance. If it wasn't for the strength that she built in here, she never would have finished the race. Right. She said the uphill bicycle, right? Because I think it was triathlon, right? The uphill bicycle was the thing that usually would just destroy her, and for that was it was a break for her, because her legs were just so strong and ready to go that she kind of caught her second wind after the bicycle ride.
Nice.
So it does. It's a huge thing when we're thinking about running, and I didn't realize that Sheridan, Ranchester, Bighorn, this area of Wyoming had so many runners, but it makes sense, right? Like we have not a lot of gyms and a lot of open space, right? What do people do to get in shape around here? They run, right? So it's cool kind of working with people with these different backgrounds in sports. And it gets me excited as a coach because, one, I want to learn how to do that better. Jeff just, he just tagged me on the conjugate for running. I ordered that book. It'll be here Monday, and I'm going to just go through it. It'll be
fun when you guys start getting back into increasing your mileage running.
Absolutely.
And stuff, combining, and that, because there's a way to do it too, where it's like if you're going to increase your mileage, now we got to adapt your training. So you're training different styles. So.
Exactly.
Right. No, it'll be fun.
It's exciting to think about, because I really pretty much left running to strengthen myself. And now once I try to get back into running and just to see the benefits that the strength training is giving me for that running, it's going to be exciting to see how that works.
Yeah.
One big thing that I think with Jeff particularly has been huge is when you're strength training, especially a top elite program like that, you're going to get kind of bumps and bruises along the way, right? You're not expecting to get injuries, and he's never really been injured in here, but we have been tweaked a little bit here and there, right?
Sore shoulder.
Yeah, sore shoulder, maybe the knee flared up. But the ability that he has now and the discipline to kind of trust the process, adapt the training. We adapt his training a lot. If he's, his shoulder hurts, we'll be doing block presses. We'll do a different grip.
Grounded.
We'll do a football bar or squat. I think for a while we squatted tempo squats with light load because his knees were flared up. And this was early in his training, right? But him now having that in his toolbox is hey, in my future career, if I'm injured and I'm tweaked up, I know how to work around these things using kind of a conjugate approach, right? All the variations, bands, chains, different bars. That's going to be huge for him. And I think one thing that I would like to talk to Jeff about really is just when your knees hurt and you're coming in here for leg day, what are your first thoughts? You obviously don't want to come in and squat, but now it's how to build these variations around it. Right. How has that been as a mindset, right? You coming in, you're asking yourself hey, can I do this? Is this going to be something okay for my knees? Should I do
damage?
this?
Am I just
how do you talk yourself into doing something like that when you know that you're kind of hurting, right?
Right.
I think that's a huge floor, debate, right? You just kind of trust the process, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the good thing about having a trainer.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, there'd been a few times over the years where I become a member of a gym and just to try to make myself stronger or look better, but I had no idea what I was doing. Take for just the bench press, for example. Without coming here and working with Chancellor, I knew nothing about technique. And I've learned that technique will probably take you farther than just raw strength will.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to thinking about the bench press this morning before the podcast started, and I came up with 9 or 10 little techniques in just the bench press that I've learned since I've come here. Like tucking your feet, driving with your legs, arching your back, packing the scaps, contracting the lats, your grip on the bar path, take a deep breath before you come down. That's just the bench press. And I used to just flop down on the bench on the flat
just
back.
Straight flat back.
Absolutely. And I certainly wouldn't have been here for 6 months or doing this for 6 months without like you coming in and see you guys. Like I have been. It's just motivating, and I've learned the proper way to do it, and I'm really seeing real results because of the techniques that you've taught me.
Because there's been multiple times we'll hit a max effort day, and I know he has the strength to do it, but some part of the technique fails a little bit, right? And part of this strength training, dude, is it takes a long time to develop it great, right? Like you have to work on this technique for a long time to master it, because even Mike and I fail technique.
Oh yeah.
Right? We blow technique all the time. And under maximal loads, that's like, that is always usually your fail factor. Right? Is this, you have the strength to do it, but there's something in your technique that just fails. Right? The hard part is mastering that well enough that when you push yourself like that, you stay concrete in that technique. Right? So there's been multiple times that he'll go for a 1 rep max on something or a 3 rep max, and he'll fail. And I'll be like, give yourself 5-10 minutes, think about this, and let's hit it again. And he always gets it.
You just said that the slinger press you guys did.
Right?
The other day,
Yeah. And it's a testament to having an experienced, knowledgeable trainer. I mean, now I've only been doing it for like 7 months now, and I follow some different trainers and other gyms on Instagram, and I see their stories, and I see the trainers themselves laying down and bent, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, if you just pack your staff, arch your back a little bit more, you could probably get that, and it just the knowledge that I've learned here at this, and I always call it a real strength training gym, Forge Physio here.
Well, we try to emphasize that, and it's cool to hear you say that, because it's like we want our people to come through here with a skill set and a knowledge base, right? Like we don't want to just be like, you're not doing that right, and then like you don't know why or like what you should be changing. So it's like the fact that Jeff can just on the bench press alone like name 9 different cues he's learning is something we want everyone to come through here with, So it's like however long you spend with us, it's like you want to come out on the other side with like, I understand technique, form, we'll dive into the diet and all of that. Like we want us to be like coaches that are like almost teachers that give you something where you come out of it with a new skill set.
And it's cool to watch him, right? Because now he can almost be like a coach himself, because when I'm training Jenny sometimes,
You
right?
can see and watch, And
the thing is like he'll be watching Jenny bench, and then every now and then he'll come under, he'll put his hand underneath her back, like there's some arch over there. He'll go over and lean on her knees and make sure she's driving.
Drive with the legs.
And I love seeing that, because it's an actual skill to see. It takes a while to develop how to break someone's technique down and to see the little things that they're doing wrong. And then that helps him be a better lifter himself. Right? Because if you can teach something, you can do it better, right? That's what I've always thought. Like even in college, if you sit down and talk to somebody and teach them, walk them through what you're trying to learn, it's the best way to learn it, right? So that's cool to see, right? And that's another huge thing, right? And I think that's a lot of where people, they just don't know, because they don't have this experience that Jeff has, and they go to these trainers that aren't doing the things correctly, right? So now Jeff, like, if he ever decides to open Vollmer strength,
there you go.
systems, he could be his own coach. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you didn't have the knowledge of technique and how to break that down, you'd probably go to these coaches that they have terrible technique themselves, right? And that's not where you want to go. That's not where you want to head, right? You should be kind of find a gym that's serious about strength training, just so you know. And he's 6-7 months into his strength training program. He's pretty independent, but there's still things that we work on, right? Just like me, I've been powerlifting for years. I still have to take my dynamic days and work on my technique always, right? And it's just like small micro adjustments now. And that's the same thing we're kind of finding with Jeff, right? We're just, every day I cue something different, He might fight me a little bit on it, but
all the time. Another aspect that I really like about the gym here is having Mike on staff.
Yeah.
A physical therapist. When and I know you do remember, squatting for me, the big thing was my left knee was horrible.
Yeah.
Lots of knee pain, and I would struggle in trying to just do a
silence.
just one squat. And one day he had asked Mike to come over and watch and see if Mike had any ideas, and Mike gave me some isolation exercises and strength training things I did for a couple months.
Yeah.
And
6 to 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
We just started every leg day with him.
Yeah.
Little IT band syndrome going on. And then, it takes a while, and Jeff was patient, consistent with the process.
And the pain in my left knee is completely gone now.
Yeah, just building up that glute and
Well, it's nice, but just having Mike here to come over and look at things like that, he's right here. I don't have to go somewhere else to make an appointment with a PT somewhere, or
that's kind of like our business model, right? That's what we want, right? Because in part of the journey, you're going to get banged up. You're going to find these weaknesses are going to show even more once you get stronger, and that's kind of what happened to you, right? Having Mike here to be like, hey, this is where you're lacking. This is where we need to improve. This is how we improve. Now I can develop this into my routine, right?
Yeah, you guys threw it into your program.
Yeah, we just threw it into the program. So, and then I pick and chose accessories that were just targeting glute strength and
what do you need to work on, and
so that's huge. Like that's why we wanted to open it this way.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the dynamic flows better as if we were two PTs, right? Because my plan was to go to PT school as well. But I think having kind of like head strength coach, head PT, the relationship that we have there is just going to play out better in the long run.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah. We're both going to specialize in different areas. Chance will be that guy. I'll be the rehab guy. He'll be the performance strength trainer. So we work with both ends of the spectrum, and we'll kind of work with you wherever you're at, banged up or ready to go do a meet or something. Yeah. So it works really well, and that's why I think that's like Chancellor said, that's why we set up the model the way we did.
It works. Ideal for a runner. I mean, runners, PTs are runners' best friends, it seems sometimes, and strength training, and just they can come in, a couple, 3 times a week, get strength training, get PT, and just a good deal, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But that's kind of Jeff's background, kind of how he started, why he's continuing to come here, his experience so far, and his recommendations for those people who are interested in either proving their performance or working through an injury.
Yeah.
Just remember, and Jeff will testify to this, it's a long road.
It is.
Don't be ignorant and think that you're going to get immediate results, because I look at people that try something for a month, 2, maybe even 3, and I kind of think that it's ignorant to quit after that. Because you're just breaking the ground right there.
Yeah.
You have to work. It's going to take a long time to develop where you want to be. And you have to trust the process, right? There's people, that have been educated, that have their own experiences. They know what they're doing, or that good coach should, a good physical therapist should. Don't question it. I mean, unless they're doing something just like crazy, like one-legged Bosu ball stuff.
Yeah.
Don't question the process. Just trust it and see how it goes, right? Give it a good half a year, 6 months, 7 months. See where you go from there, right? Because the hardest thing is just having the discipline to do what you say you're going to do for one time in your life, right? He told himself that he was going to get strong, right? So he committed to it and he did it. That takes a lot of discipline, because in a world of instant satisfaction where everything's at our fingertips, that is not the pretty truth that most people want to hear. Right. That's going to take a long time. Right. What's the quick fix?
Yeah. I think that's why we wanted to have Jeff on the podcast. He's kind of this the ideal kind of clientele we're looking for, as far as
he's pretty much like the Forge mascot.
He is. Yeah. Well, just he comes in with a background where he hasn't necessarily have a ton of strength training. It's a learning process for him. He's gone through the bumps and bruises with pain and rehab. He's had to change things with diet, but he's somebody that has been consistent, has stuck with the process, and is seeing the benefit. And it's his work and his dedication to what we've been doing here just shows. So it's he's just kind of our prime example of what we're hoping in people that we want to work with.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's not us.
No,
It's Jeff. He's doing the work, man. I'm just pointing fingers, or you're just helping him with rehab and guiding him that way. He's showing up every morning. He's making the time to make this work. He has seven kids,
Yeah.
right? He has his own business, right? That he's got to run and take care of. So he has to make the time to do this, to make the discipline to commit to the time.
Right.
And that's just a
It's worth
merit for him, right? Because that's nothing that we did.
No.
Yeah.
So he just had that mindset that I'm going to improve, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
So,
Not long after I started training with y'all, I found a quote, came across a quote, and it's really motivated me ever since. It's from Socrates, so it must be smart, right? Yeah. He said, "What a disgrace it is for a man to grow old without ever seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable."
Oh, I love that.
hey,
What a shame!
that just gave me
it is to
chills,
grow old.
man.
What a shame it would be to grow old and not see your full capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
So yeah.
It's totally something that we identify with and would, part of what we want to do with people is
Good thing you got 30, 40 more years, Jeff, before you're
right.
old. So. Mike and I only got about 30, 40 years.
based on the lifestyle choices.
You need a little more
Live
cardio.
hard.
We'll get you running, you'll have a
know,
longer life.
One of these days, Jeff. One of these days, we'll go for a run
We'll
with
walk
you.
on the trail as you fly by.
I'll have to trust the process. Trust me,
my
this is
camera
gonna
for that
suck. Oh, please don't. But
Yeah, Jeff, we sincerely do. We appreciate
yeah,
you on
man.
the podcast.
Seriously, every day I look forward to going to work because I get to work with you, your family, and people like you. So keep doing what you're doing. I know that sometimes it might seem slow. Progress might be slow, but you're making leaps and bounds, man. And then I can't wait till we transition into something different, because it's just going to be a challenge for me, and it's going to be a challenge for you, right? Using what you've gone and how you apply that efficiently.
We sure appreciate all the help Forge has given my family. Like I say, it's really literally been life-changing for us, and we just enjoy coming every day, and we're looking forward to it. But this is just the beginning.
Yep. I can't imagine Forge without the Vollmer family. I really can't.
Dude.
So,
Forge fam right there.
Forge fleet.
Yeah,
It's all
Forge
because
fleet.
of spiders and millipedes.
Yeah, spiders and millipedes. Yeah.
Not a single spider or not even a mouse has been seen since.
So, kind of wrap up here. Build yourself, conquer adversity, repeat daily. Do these things with the discipline that the Vollmer family has developed, and you will succeed. Punch the mic. Bam!